Hello, world. Mine's up. Mine's up. It's your girl, Takiyah Diamond, and I am so grateful and thankful to be here live with you right now. So today, we are going to that I know a whole lot of people really haven't taken the time to think about. But guess what? After tonight, you're going to begin to think about it. You're going to begin to think about the things you're thinking about so that you can actually shift your life in a way that you truly desire and would love for it to be. So I have a quote for you, and this quote comes from Deepak Chopra. And I'm going to read this quote. Even though I remember it, I want to read it to you, okay? Deepak says, our minds influence the key activities of the brain, which then influences everything else. Perception, cognition, thoughts, and feelings, personal relationships, they are all a projection of you. Now, I want to know, what did you get out of that? Are you understanding the science and what Deepak is trying to say to you here? He's letting you know in this quote that your mind influences everything else that takes place in your life. The mind is the key activity. And when I say this, I want to make sure that you understand something, because I know I've said this before, but maybe if this is your first time tuning in with me, I like you to understand it thoroughly. You have to remember that the brain, your thoughts, and your mind are three different things. I know we've been taught to believe like, oh, it's just this one source, but there are three parts to the functioning of the whole thought process, the mind process, and the brain process. So even though they're separate, they do work together. However, they are separate things. And I just want to make sure that you understand that, so that as I go further, you can understand where I'm taking you on that. Give me 1 second here. All right. So one thing we know, right, guys, is that the human brain, if you didn't know that your brain was like this marvelous computer, so to say, it is. And I'm going to talk to you about that tonight, because this is the season that we're walking in. And so rather than teaching you something about an old season that's really not even going to matter anymore, I want to show you how to use what you have inside of you, what you were born with, and what it was designed for, to assist you with achieving your goals, to assist you with living the life that you desire, to assist you with attracting a mate to you who's a perfect match for you, rather than consistently linking up with the wrong people. It's all in here, because this is the way that it all works. And I want to break a lot of that down, right? I mean, and so when you think about how incredible the brain is, guys, right? You got to think about, the brain has incredible speed. Like the moment that you think something, or something happens, or maybe something comes up and then you need to figure it out, you know, it's like the brain, it works very quickly, right? So we have this marvelous thing inside of us, right? It constantly makes connections. You know, it develops for a very long time, right? It processes and stores all of your memories from ever since you were a baby all the way up into now, right? And so there's just like this thing that you really need to understand about this thing going on in your head, right? So tonight what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you some things that you really need to know about your mind, all right? So the first thing that you need to know about your mind, well, about your brain, is that the brain doesn't know the difference between reality and imagination. Yep. With that being said, so whenever you are imagining something in your head that hasn't even taken place yet, you are in the process of co-creation. So you begin to create this into your reality based on the thoughts that you're thinking and based on the energy that you give it, right? So if this is the case, and the brain does not understand the difference between what's real and what's fake, if you are having a consistent fearful memory going on in your head, oh, the monster's gonna get me or whatever, like the kids used to do, what do you think is going to manifest for you? Oh, I don't know about being in this relationship because he's probably going to cheat on me. And maybe that man was never a cheater to ever begin with. But maybe sometimes your thoughts can create that man into being a cheater. And on the other foot, for women, it's the same thing. Guys, if you consistently think like, oh, she just a tramp out here like the rest of these chicks, blah, 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 then guess what you're going to get? You're going to get trash chicks who are exactly like you keep imagining in your mind. So in order to override that, you have to understand that the brain does not know the difference between what's real and what's fake. So I say that to say, it's time that you begin, because we are in a new season, guys, and you are responsible for your destiny. You, and you alone. Okay, you're going to have to take your control back. I know whatever the old story was, whatever the old paradigm was, is dead, is gone. Like, we really have to step into our power right now, which is why I'm even on this live at this time of night or day, wherever you are in the world. But I'm showing up because I really need you to get this. I need, in order for us to see our world become something better while it continues to look destructive, because for so long, millions and millions and billions of people have only had a vision of our world being destructive. And because that is the focus, and if what you think is what becomes, and you got billions of people thinking our world is in destruction, guess what happens? We create more destruction for our world. And so this is why I'm trying to share with you, that the brain reacts to whatever the same way that as if it was happening right now. So when we are living in fear, and people are living in fear about, oh, when I go outside I might get shot, or whatever the case may be, you are creating additional scenarios like that, unconsciously knowing, creating stuff that will actually take place to make that your reality. So whether you turn on the news, as soon as you turn on the news, you hear this whole thing about, on 18th Avenue, such and such killing discovered, blah, 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 blah. It came to you because that's what you were vibrating, all right? So my thing is, you have to know for sure, guys, there is no shadow of a doubt. What I'm teaching you is quantum physics. Okay, what I'm teaching you right now is science. We going beyond mysticism. We're going beyond religion. We're going beyond all of that. Okay, and I'm trying to get you guys to understand it on a deeper level. All right, so it's just like the placebo effect of the way that it works. You get what I'm saying? So, like, let's just say if the brain believes that you're taking, I don't know, let's just say Excedrin. Right, you're taking this type of pill, right? And so let's just say you get a hold of something called a sweet pill that basically just, maybe it makes your breath smell good. The brain is going to make you take the same way that you would have took that pharmaceutical pill, this sweet pill that you're going to take. Even though it's nothing, it has nothing to do with your illness, it automatically thinks that it's doing the same way. So when it goes into your body, it processes it the same way. You get what I'm saying? It's going to break it down into particles. It's going to do that because that's what it knows to do. Okay? So the key that I'm making here, guys, is that it's just like You ever notice how you might have a friend or somebody that's like a hypochondriac? They watch this movie or whatever, and the whole time they're watching the movie, they're like jumping and they're going through all of this, right? Because in that moment, they are actually living out or experiencing what's really taking place in the movie. And again, that's because the brain does not understand the difference between what's real and what's fake. So even though the movie is fake, at that moment, somebody that's a hypochondriac that is just, overreactive about everything is gonna freak out. Is gonna freak out at the movie. And so, how does that work? You get what I'm saying? Give me 1 second, this was on. Okay. So that's something important that I really, really needed you guys to know. And my thing too also was guys, that if you didn't believe or even actually know the difference between something real or something that you really just think about, just sit back and think about that, right? Think about something that happened bad to a loved one. I'm not saying like something that already happened. I'm talking about like a what if scenario. And you say, well, what if, I lost my mother? How would I feel? All of these feelings and emotions and stuff start coming over you, and you feel like, oh, God, right? Because even though at that moment it might not have happened yet, but it's like you already experienced it before it took place. And this is the way that the brain works. It works in pictures. It believes that it's real, and so you end up manifesting it. And this is the reason why I say you have to be extremely mindful of the words that you speak and the thoughts that you think, because they are creating the reality that you see in front of you right now today. All right? But the good news is that if you think positive thoughts, okay, it's the same placebo effect. That's the good part about it, So the brain reacts the same way as if it has already happened. So it's all about what you're deciding to put into your brain. What are you training your brain to believe? Because if you're always consistently focused on the past, then guess what? You're training your brain to believe that you want more of those negative emotions, more of those fearful emotions. It's a lot. And so in order to overcome that, you have to pay attention to it showing up and understanding what it is that you really just have to retrain your brain. Okay? So the second thing I wanted to share with you that you really need to know about your brain is that you experience what you think about the most. Bottom line. Okay? What you think about the most is making its way to you. All right? So one thing you have to understand about this, guys, let's just say that how when let's just say you bought a new car, right? As soon as you buy this car, you didn't never see so many people with the car until you bought it, right? And now you're like, why am I seeing this car all over the place? And that's basically because you were thinking about that car for so long. You finally got the car, but you're still vibrating in alignment with the car. So you end up seeing the car more than you ever saw it before. And even sometimes before you want to purchase a car, you start thinking about the car, what color seats you're going to have and all of this other stuff. As soon as you do that, then you start seeing other people driving past with the same car. Then you start doubting yourself, do I want that car? Everybody seems to have that car now, right? I already know. Okay. But the thing about it, guys, is you really have to step into your place of choosing, deciding, and just knowing what you want to have into your experience. Because if you don't decide or you don't choose what you want to have in your experience, that is what takes us to number 3, which is your mind mostly runs on autopilot. So no matter what, your brain is always going to be used. The question is, who are you allowing to use your brain? Are you going to use your brain, or are you going to let outside circumstances control the way that you think? Okay? And it's the same thing, right? Even when you're attracting the wrong people to you. And you wondering, like, why do I keep attracting these crazy people to me? These people are deranged or whatever, right? And when you think about things like that, what do? You program your mind to attract those type of people. So in order to bypass that, you have to begin programming yourself that I'm meeting the right people. The right person has shown up for my life. The right person to connect me to what it is that I need to connect to in order to move my career further has actually reached out to me. You got to come from that place, okay? As if it already is. That's the key. Whenever you come from a place of you're waiting, guess what? You're going to always be waiting for something to happen. You have to get your behind up and get going. Create a few action steps, make a commitment to what you said you was going to do, and do it. It's the only way to get it done. Or as I said before, your autopilot running brain is going to send you back on a frenzy down the lane that you just got out of, or that you're trying to get out of, and you just can't seem to dig yourself up out the hole. So your thoughts, guys, are controlling the pattern of who you're attracting, even when it comes to wealth. Your thoughts are controlling all of that. If your speech and your words that come out of your mouth are always on autopilot about what you don't have, I don't know how I'm going to do this, or money will go on trees, or I don't know how I'm going to get this money, blah, 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 blah. You don't need to know the how. All you need to do is set the intention on that being what you want and be open to receiving it. You're going to take action steps towards, things that you can do that might help speed the goal along. But if you're focused on how, that means you doubt. Now, unless you have a specific plan, like, I'm going to open up this business, and within the next 3 years, I intend to be a 6-figure business owner or a 7-figure business owner. Right? Because that's where you're setting the intention, and you're coming from a space and a place within your heart. And when you're coming from that space and that place in your heart, then you open up the floodgates to something coming from a completely different dimension. So rather than focusing so much on the physical, guys, we got to kind of go on the inner, what's going on in our heads, right? Because whatever's going on in our heads that's connected to our heart or coming from our heart and connecting to the head and out of our mouth and before our eyes, the next thing we know, we're embracing some experience that we done created based on our own feelings and emotions. Or if we're not thinking for ourselves and your thinking is on autopilot, like I said, guess what happened? After you watch TV, whatever was going on in that TV show, you done call half of that stuff to yourself. As you was just so indulged in it, was so real to you. So your brain experienced that fight that you just watched. That girl spit on that other girl. Subconscious mind picked that up. So now that has become your experience. That's why you have to be mindful with what you sit in front of and what you watch on TV and all of that stuff. Because it's not always the greatest thing for you. A lot of the stuff is programming you to behave in a negative way to block you from actually reaching success. That's the truth of it. Might not be what you want to hear, but it's the truth of it. All right. So you have to train your brain, guys, to begin thinking positive thoughts. Okay. When you rewire your brain, what you do is you actually help your subconscious mind think positively, right? And then you'll be able to reap one benefit after another, after another, and after another. And then ultimately, you're going to see more positive experiences showing up in your life. All right. So, and you have to remember, negative thoughts, they not only create stress and anxiety, okay, but the thing could really make you sick. It could kill you. I have a book coming out called Your Thoughts Are Killing You. And it's going to explain to you, all of the things that we suck up and dive into that make us ill. And we're not even paying attention to what it is that we're paying attention to that's creating this illness in our body. But that's a whole nother story. But that's coming to you soon. All right. So number 4 is shutting your mind off. Turn it off. The truth is, guys, your brain has at least 60,000 thoughts a day. It's always running. Even when you stop and you be like, I'm just going to chill for a moment. Your body might sit down and chill, but your brain still be running. Can I get a witness? I already know. Okay, because I'm not exempt from this. It's just that I grew from it, and so now I'm trying to do everything I can to help others grow from it as well, so that I could be an example of what's possible for somebody else, because I already experienced it. So I want to be able to prepare somebody for the experience, but for that shift, to change it, because it can be different, but that's all on you. Okay, so just guys, you just really have to remember, right? When you have so much of that stuff running in your mind, right? Remember, it's in creation stage as it's thinking, running, right? So when you turn the negative thoughts off, what happens is you actually boost up your immune system. Did you know that? You didn't know that, right? You attract better health, and you even attract more positive people into your life, because your energy won't be all over the place. When you quiet your mind, you will find yourself just being in what we call the present moment, being in the here and now, because everything that you really desire to accomplish or achieve in your heart is in the present moment. It's not somewhere out there in the future. It's not, okay, whatever happened back then, whatever you did back then that used to be what you do. It's not what you do right now. What are you doing right now? What are you choosing to do right now? Who are you choosing to be right now? You have to train your brain to know who you're choosing to be. You have to tell it. You have to teach it. You have to teach it by pretending that you're it already, so that it will become it. That's the key. All right? So, I know I'm forgetting something. I'm just not sure. Okay. But anyway, meditation. That's what I was going to say. Meditation. Taking time to meditate, just to quiet your mind, guys. Even if it start out slow, do it for like a minute a day. Just shut it up for like 60 seconds. And you will notice that gradually you'll be able to do 2 minutes, and then you'll be able to do 3 minutes, and you'll be able to do 5 minutes, and you'll be able to do 10 minutes. Then once you start doing that, you go into your 20s and your 30s, and a whole hour of just mindlessness, just nothing. And when you get in that state, you actually get answers to a lot of your questions. And that's how come sometimes a lot of people are running scampered, just trying to figure their life out, but they can't figure it out because they haven't allowed their brains to take the time to slow down and just take a moment to do nothing. All right. So definitely recommend. One of my greatest recommendations is meditation. Okay. And so number 5, this is the last one, guys, that something I think that you definitely need to know about your brain is that you can literally change it, which I said 10,000 times subliminally all night, that you do have the option to shift your way of thinking. You can actually change your brain, which means when you change the direction of the neurons in your brain, guess what happens? Your reality changes. You begin to be a magnet to success. You begin to be a magnet for love, a magnet for everything that your heart truly desires, right? But it's not until you change those pathways that could take place, because why? It's been thinking the old way for so long that when you try to come and do something new, it's going to be like, wait a minute, we don't know nothing about this. We don't know this new chemical in my body. Like, what's going on here? Like, your whole system is going to be having to do a shift and change, even just based on the neuron going the other way. But isn't it worth the work? Because your life is so much worth it. Your happiness is so much worth it. So why stay stuck in a place that you don't have to anymore? Guys, the past is done. We have to get out of that old paradigm, and it starts with utilizing that thing right between your 2 ears called your brain. It is the signaling system. It is active. It acts like the computer, the hard drive to the computer. It downloads everything. And so whenever you're trying, it's like you got Netflix. You're trying to play one movie, but you're pressing play on another movie. As long as you keep pressing play on the other movie, I'm going to get you sucker, rather than The Color Purple. Guess what? You're never going to get The Color Purple. No matter how many times you press, I'm going to get you sucker. So it's the same thing with your brain. It's not until you impress that new image of yourself into the present moment as if it already is, that you will be able to manifest and create the life that you say that you want. This is universal law, guys. This is physics, science, not religion. Okay? It's just the way it works. It's universal law. Okay? And so that's why I came through tonight to share that with you guys, right? Because, when you focus on the things that you desire, that process of building those neural connections, that's when they begin. The moment that you shift from that one thought into that next one that is going in the opposite direction of the old one, boom, the spark happens immediately. But the more you do it, the more it remembers. Now you're downloading the new program into your head. It's like operating with a old data system. Like, you had a Dell computer and now you just bought a Mac computer, but you're trying to take all of the hardware from the Dell and put it in the Mac. You can't mix the two. Either you're going to shift forward or you're going to remain backwards. And with that being said, I hope that this live has helped you tonight. I thank you so much for tuning in. I will come back on in just a few seconds to chat with you, do some Q&A, take a look at your comments and all that wonderful stuff. Make sure you visit the website at www.takiyyadiamond.com, mindsuplife.com, and make sure that you subscribe to my YouTube channel. Subscribe for my notifications so that whenever I go live, you will be the first to know, and all that other wonderful stuff. Don't forget to grab yourself a copy of one of my books, Get Your Life Together, 7 Things You Need to Change Your Life, Wisdom Words of Consciousness. They are all available, and coming soon for you is going to be From Poverty to Profit. And I'm going to assist you with some things here in this book to really get you from a place of lack into a place of luxury, into a place of abundance, into a place of, prosperity. All right. And because it all starts inside, guys. We continue to be poor, continue to be stressed, continue to be that, because that is the story that we bought for so long, starting from within. Which means if it came from within, we got to change it from within in order to see the wealth begin to progress and flourish on the outside. All right, guys. So mine's up. I love you. It's your girl Takiyah Diamond. Thank you once again for tuning in, and thank you so much for being so amazing, so awesome. And I will be right back with Q&A if you'd like to join me. That way I can chat with you guys directly one-on-one. I love you. Mine's up.